So hello together, my name is Thomas Gienger, Amann Girrbach company, and again we have a webinar session here about the subject. It's called The Way Through the Implant Jungle. And it's a really delicious thing, of course. We have so much implants now on the market. We have even so much implants here in the company, and I want to bring you detailed information about that. So therefore I call it The Way Through the Implant Jungle. So what's the most important one now to know is we have now three segments here of implant solutions. Our overview shows a kind of wheel, and we have here three different characters, three different systems here. The first one is called the multi-platform solution. It's from Medentika, especially made for Amann Girrbach. And I made here an extraction here of the home page. When you click on the download link and you go on the Amann Girrbach page, on the services and downloads, and you click there, then you get here that page, and you will find here some catalogs and some brochures. And here in the catalogs you see here the Medentika Implant Prosthetics catalog. If you click on it, you will find this big document. It's 108 pages big, and on the first page you are shown here the different systems you can cover with the first Medentika Amann Girrbach system. It starts with Braden, goes to Altatec, to the Cone Lock, to the Biomed, to Straumann, and so on. And these parts we are calling the multi-platform systems. In a second, we are talking about the original system partners. This means you get the parts, you buy it with Amann Girrbach, you order it with Amann Girrbach company, and you get the original equipped Straumann or Bego parts here. If you click here on this download link here, you get this page. It's the same page than before, but now you see here we have the Ceramill Implant Prosthetics catalog, and this catalog here now contains a little different parts. And you see here we have again the wheel with the three different solutions, and here the explanation of the three difference. We come to that later. And here we see the overview over the systems and the developers and the companies. For example, here on right side you see the Straumann bone level, the Straumann Synocta one. On the next page here we have the overview over the different systems here. See here we are starting with Astratec, Straumann, Nobel Biocare, Straumann, Biomed, Nobel Biocare, Zimmer, up to Camlock. And on the next pages you get the single parts you need for your scanning parts and your construction and milling parts. We come to that later on. We get that with a hardware overview. So this is the second from the wheel, the second section here. It's the original system partners. And the last one, this is the authorized implant components. This is from the MIS company. And when we click here on that download link, you will be guided on this page here, and we see here there is the MIS authorized implant components. And when you click here on that link here, you find a link here where you are directly routed to the MIS website. On that website here you find the different suitable implant parts which you can integrate in your library of implants. And here the first one, you see the Amann Girrbach ones, and here you can download the library. When you click here, this is a zip file, and then you have to unzip and then you copy it in your library folder where the implants are listed in. And the second download link here is for the TI form, the titanium blocks. Talk about that later. But first let's start with the overview over the different hardware parts. Where to find that? If you click here on the services downloads in the catalogs and brochures, you will find a hardware overview with all the different parts, and we will now have a closer look on that parts. Of course it's important when we are speaking the next 10 minutes about the parts that you know what the parts are for. This is the PDF document, and let's start here with the first things here. They are called the TI forms and called first generation. Why do we speak about two generations? The first generations, the chimney, the heights of these titanium parts have been a little higher, and the second generation they are a little lower. This means you can use the lower parts even for screw retain things when the angles are a little divergent or convergent here. And this is the TI form, means you constructing a part for the implants, the emergency profile, and the geometry directly fitting in the mouth to the implant is a prefabricated part on the top of this TI form block here. In the next part is the called titanium base zirconia abutment. Means it's made on titanium, and you will do a construction of an abutment over it, and the part will be glued together and then screwed in, and the crown will come over it. You will see a video in some seconds where I show you the different types of parts which are belonging to this system. And the third one now we can see is the scan body of the first generation. The scan body is made of PEEK and it's reusable for 20 times, and it's also called first generation with a higher chimney, with a higher height. And when you look very close, you see that this scan body has a flat surface. This surface helps you for the right orientation when you have the scan, when you have the part of the library and you want to bring the parts together, then you need this flat surface. Now we're coming to the second generation. This is called the TI form abutments. Looks nearly the same like the first one, but has a different geometry. And now we see in the second generation's part here, the chimney here is 3.5 and 5.5 millimeter. We have two heights, and the first generation was only a height of 4 millimeters. So you're more flexible when you have two heights, depending on your height of the construction. Then we have a titanium base for bridges and bars. This means they can rotate. They have no rotation stop. And then you can say, okay, I have two parts, and this is an angle between the two insertion axis of the drilling in the mouth, in the bone. And then you need a very short part that you can react these angled parts for the screw channels. The scan bodies are made now not completely in PEEK. They have a metal socket, and over it this is a PEEK part, and this part lasts very precise in the lab analog. Then the last three parts here we see it's called a Medenti base abutment. It's a straight one and it has a very short tip. This is especially made for bars constructions and for constructions where you have really hard different screw angles of your implants. It's also called a multi-unit part. Of course, on top you can set different systems on top. And the last both, they are adhesive caps made in titanium. The first one here you see there is some retentions in it, so this can be in different heights. We have 3 and 4 millimeters in the height, the caps here, and these caps are prefabricated and can be glued in screw retained constructions or in bridges, and it's helping to make a passive fit. And the last one, this is specially for adhesive gluing and has a retention that you can glue it in bars, and particularly for ceramic and composite materials you use for the gluing. This was material overview. And now we are looking at the order list here. The order list here means we can check which parts we want to order for our screw retain things. And as you see here on the left side of this document, here we have the different parts we need. The first one we just saw on the second page before. This is the adhesive copying over it, this cap with the retentions in it for gluing. Then we have a small screw which we pass through this cap, and we have the titanium base SR, is called SR for screw retained, and this you need when you have different angles in your screw channels with the implantation, and then you can compensate that. On the scanning side here you need a screw which keeps all the time in the lab, and the scan body which is a really cylindrical and parallel. There is no flat side on it, you can turn it like you want, and a titanium base SR, this is a similar one, and these screws and parts keep always in the lab. For dentist side we always use new and original things. And down on the page here we see the screwdriver. We have the drive for to bring in the screw and to fix it. We have the small cap here, and we have a second unit here. This is the insertion device, and this part you need for inserting the titanium base screw retain, the SR, and with that torque ratchet here to insert it. After placed in the mouth here, this titanium base SR, we will have the denture, the over construction with the glued titanium cap, the copying inside, and the screw. And then after using the first insertion device, you use the second one, the screw drive with a ratchet, to fix the complete final denture in the mouth. On the right side here we have the parts here for different manufacturers here, and all the parts here are available for the TI Connect SR, for conical ones, for screw retained things in the mouth. And now the next question is, how do we get that parts here in our library? How do we integrate it? The first thing is that you use the C3 platform, the customer service platform. You have to visit it. You go in the internet and you go on the Amann Girrbach homepage and you go on the support, and then you have the C3 platform. You have to register there first time, and then you can download the parts here from the page here. You see we have the Medentica parts, we have the Exocad manual how to do it, we have the Exocad titanium abutment library and the 3-shape parts. And after downloading it, then you copy that library to the program files. If you need help, please contact our help desk and they will help you to bring the parts in your library that you can use it. This was now the overview over the parts you can order on the 3 different systems with the multi-platform. And now in the next thing we want to have a closer look on the different solutions here. Of course we have abutment and crown, screw retained, and so on, and I will show you now in detail what the parts are with that different solutions. I've prepared a small video and now we will look at that video clip. The video shows first the abutment and crown, then the screw retained and the TI form, and the REX, the reliable all-in-X for big bridges. Let's have a first look on the abutment and crown. We always start with a titanium base on the bottom, then we have a part, it's called the abutment base or bottom, which is forming the gingiva part. On that we have an abutment top, which gives the like a die here where we have the crown on it. Then on that we have the reduced crown, and this reduced crown will be veneered or porcelained or will be as a monolithic crown over it. We have the gingiva parts, and that parts, the first part will be screwed in the mouth, and then the bridge will be cemented over it. And it's also possible to have it with the bridges. These last pictures have shown here how it's working with the bridges. This means 2 different angles, one insertion direction on the abutment on it, and 2 screw channels in, and over that we have a bridge, and this bridge will be cemented and the holes will be closed. Second case, we have the screw retained one. This is also with a titanium based. We have an abutment which is forming the bottom with the gingiva. We have a top on the abutment, and on top normally when we have the second cap there is a screw channel, and this screw channel is designable. We can longer it, and over that we will veneer or porcelain. And now let's have a closer look on that screw channel. You see we have a lot of control points. We can lift them up and lift them outside and inside, and therefore I want to advise you, please be careful with the minimum thickness of that screw channel. The minimum default value is around 0.3 millimeters. That's very small. So if the screw channel is looking out on top of crown, please make it a little bigger, around 0.3 or 0.4 millimeter. Otherwise it could be breaking here. And this is a finalized crown here with a screw channel in the mouth. You see porcelain with a metal part under it, and so it would look like in the mouth. Screw retained one. The next one is the TI form. So we do the construction, the red ones, and this is a single unit one which is directly overgiven in the matching software in the block here. So what we design is the part which forms the gingiva and the part which is on top, and it's directly given in the machine, and with that special holder called the TI form holder and a special technique we will mill that part, and on top this is a finalized geometry. The next thing is the TI Connect SR. in the combination with the REAX, with the reliable All-on-X, and with that help we can control not only the abutment things, we can also control the cutback teeth and the gingiva parts. On top you see here two conical titanium bases called the SR, the screw retained, the conical ones, and on that we are constructing our part, and this part is a mix between cutback teeth from Knut Miller and the gingiva part. They were melted, merged together, and we have one finalized work which can be porcelained or stained and glazed after that. On the bottom you see the both SR parts which are glued in. And now finally I will show you a small construction of a single implant. It's going in very quick steps here. If you want to deepen it, as told, you can book an online training for that. The case I want to do is here 3-5 here, a small tooth here with an implant, and we see we have chosen a copying with a zirconia material. We are scanning a separate gingiva scan, yes, and we have a abutment plus crown here selected here in the drop down menu. All other parameters are nearly on standard, so that's it. And now I start the construction and I show you how it's working. So the scanning parts here shows you 4 scans. We have the plaster model, we have the gingiva, we have the green part, this is a scan body, and we have the antagonist here over it. And the part here now, we choose the library here. We have a range 6 part here, and we choose the 3.5 kit here. This is the diameter and the height, and you see that part comes in the library. I go closer and I match it here over it and say best fit matching. The software makes that automatically best fit matched, and then we have that part here. It's called a titanium base directly from the library. In the next step I set 4 clicks for the preparation line. This is the line between the crown and the abutment, and I can control that line if necessary here with single control points, but it's not necessary, so I keep it on that. Then I say okay, I have a mesial and a distal tooth here. I click on the both teeth, they get colored, and then we have our library tooth in the right size, in the right height. So small control with size, with height, and then we can control the antagonist part here with the penetration, some approximal context. That's it. Go on next. Then we are controlling here the dimension of our parts here which are forming the gingiva. Let's see here how it looks. When you look from mesial distal, you can overblow it here, you can blow it up, you can make it smaller or bigger, and you can limit it. So I limit and get the maximum penetration to the gingiva as 0.1, and then I'm adapting here the part. That's it. You can control even here the control points. Then you click on next. After that you have the free-forming possibility to make the tooth more smooth. You can build up material, you can smooth material, we can adapt it here on the occlusal way, on the approximal way. Click on next. Then I want to adapt some more if necessary, and this step is the insertion direction, a kind of secondary insertion direction. It has nothing to do with the screw channel. Of course, when I want to place the crown over the die after the construction, I want to have the approximal teeth in the right position. So I click on set that current view, and this is the best one for me, and I click on next. Then I'm controlling my abutment dimension. You have the 3 control lines. You can push here the control key and the shift key. Then you can limit here the size here on top, that you have enough space for your cap here and your veneering, the porcelaning. Then I want to make it a little extra for rotation stop here. I lift it a little out, and the next step I will flatten a little with the flattening tool, go over the sharp edges, and we have the small edges here on down here. I want to flatten that. That's it. Click on next and merge the parts together. And that's now my first step of the construction. We have the abutment. You see the abutment from the bottom here. There will be fitted in and glued in the cap here, which is directly contact with the implant. And on top here you see the screw hole. And over that now we want to continue. We'll make the substructure now over it. So the piece now turns to a die kind geometry. I click on next. I have my tooth here over it. Then I can shrink down my tooth, I can make the porcelain thickness here, the control of that, and after that I'm finalizing with flattening and smoothing, and that's it. See the final parts here at the end. We have the merged parts. We have two parts. On one hand we have here our abutment, and on top here we have our restoration. So you can now imagine how it looks when it's finished. Over it we have the anatomic shape. This will be the porcelain one, and for the dentist it's easy. He will screw in the red part with a screw and then make the anatomic crown, porcelain crown over it, and that's the implant. Short introduction to the implant jungle. I hope you enjoyed, and back to our presentation here. That was the construction and the crown. Again, online trainings for go very deep in the stuff here, and to lighten here the information. You can book it on the online trainings here on the homepage. And I thank you very much for your attention. See you again. And on the other side there was Thomas Gienger, Amann Girrbach Company, and bye bye.